Greetings to all of you around the world navigating this profound time of transition and transformation. We have been through months of quarantine, of dealing with this global pandemic, of being in this liminal time, this in-between time, of stepping out of our lives and out of our world as it's been, and not quite clear what we're moving into. Today I want to talk more in depth about how the planets, particularly Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter, can guide us as we journey through this transition time, individually and collectively. We need to remember that where we are in that process with Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter is in that middle phase of their guiding us through a profound transformation. For over a year, we've been experiencing the Pluto-Saturn combination that has been about the increasing stress and distress and deconstruction of our systems and structures of our collective ways of being, economically, politically, in all ways. And now we're in that middle phase where Pluto has taken us into the underworld and we're being called to heal, to face the shadow aspects of ourselves that we haven't been willing to look at, to transform in order to be rebirthed in a new way. And Jupiter, which came into combination with Pluto in March, is guiding us and supporting us in those new ways of being. But we're in that transition time right now, which is the period of uncertainty, of confusion, of facing all that we feel in terms of what's been lost. Pluto is that planet that takes us through a time that is intense and chaotic and turbulent. We have lost our old ways of being. It is much like the caterpillar moving into the chrysalis to become the butterfly. One of the things that's very important to know as we're in this transition time is there is no return to normal. The caterpillar who is dissolved in the chrysalis cannot struggle to reconstruct as a caterpillar. That way of being is over. We're in the soup right now of transformation and need to honor that we're meant to move into a whole new paradigm, to form wings and fly. How do we do that? Part of what's important in this transition time is to honor the time of healing that we're all called into. As we're moving through this profound month, the end of May through June, we are also experiencing Venus's journey, her journey into the underworld, her disappearing as an evening star, going through her own transformation and re-emerging as a morning star. And remember, as she's in her underworld transition, she's not struggling to come back as an evening star again and reconstitute her old way of being. She's preparing for a complete new form, new life, emerging as a morning star in the east. She will disappear from view May 26th and reappear as a morning star on June 12th. And as I said in my last video, her emergence comes between a lunar eclipse on June 5th and a solar eclipse on June 21st. In so many ways, the sky is guiding us through this intense transformational time here on Earth and saying, wake up, face the light and shadow in who you are individually and collectively, and take time to heal in order to emerge transformed. What does that mean to face the shadow sides of ourselves? It means this is the time to face the truth of who we are, to face the pain from the past, to heal from our own trauma individually and collectively, to see those parts of ourselves that we've split off, to reclaim them, and to see the shadow aspects of ourselves that we tend to project onto others. And then we get caught in these traumatizing interactions with each other. Part of the turbulence in the world right now is that we have not faced the trauma of our past, individually or collectively, many of us, which is part of the reason that I co-authored From Trauma to Freedom with Christina Lee. How do we move through that journey of healing to reclaim our wholeness? And it does mean feeling all that we feel. As we move through this traumatic time, it's important to let yourself feel the sadness of your own losses, the compassion for others with their losses and suffering. It's important to let yourself feel the confusion, for many the anger and frustration about this time, as well as the glimpse of hope for healing and transformation that many are feeling. It's only when we let ourselves feel all of those aspects of ourselves that we move into consciousness and are then able to move towards that rebirth into new ways of being. When we have trauma in our lives, the typical coping mechanisms are flight or fight. And we're seeing that in the world right now. I know some people that are terrified to leave their homes at all. We're also seeing people in fight mode, acting out in aggressive ways towards each other because they're so frustrated about these changes and the chaos. We also see people caught in denial. Maybe if we pretend this isn't going on, it'll all be okay and we can go back to normal. So we're seeing the full range, and there are more ways of coping, but those are some of the classic ways that we respond to trauma. But they actually perpetuate a traumatizing pattern, because then we're not dealing with the truth of what is and with the fullness of all that we feel in order to heal. We can only heal if we face the truth and let ourselves see those shadow aspects of ourselves, reclaim them so that we're in our wholeness. Part of the trauma in the world is that we've been through crises like this, and wars, and natural cataclysms. And when we don't heal from that trauma, we tend to reenact it on each other in destructive ways, leading to conflicts between nations, or projecting our shadow selves onto each other, and then fighting with each other and trying to destroy each other. We won't heal if we're projecting our pain and our anger and our trauma onto each other. We need to take responsibility and take that back and work through that process individually and collectively. Jupiter is guiding us and supporting us in moving through that process. And Venus is modeling it for us. And remember Venus in her underworld journey, before she, in the myth of Inanna, before she goes into the underworld to go through that transformation, she asks for her friend and companion to keep watch, to hold space for her, to be there for her, and to make sure she returns. So this is a time where we need to be there for each other and with each other, hold space for each other. When you're in trauma, if someone is able to hear and see and hold you in what you're going through, you heal. And if you find a way to feel empowered to work through the meaning of your journey and take action to change, then you emerge transformed, not traumatized. So this is the challenge of this time. What's extraordinary is that if we allow ourselves to move through this liminal time, to understand that we can't go back to the ways of the past, that we are being called into radically new paradigms, then this can be not only a time of healing, but of profound creativity. It's extraordinary to me when I talk and do with people around the world and do astrology readings, the amount of creative energy that I'm seeing rising up because of this time of chaos that we're in. It is a spaciousness to move into new forms and to reconfigure our lives in ways that are more in alignment with our deeper selves, that are more true to who we are. So as you're in this transition time, take time to meditate and tune in to the ways in which you've been living your life that aren't true to who you are. The ways in which you've been living your life that is keeping you locked into stress or feeling contracted or feeling as if you've lost parts of yourself. And take this time to dream and envision how your life could be if you lived from your true self. This is a time when we are called into a new consciousness. Saturn and Jupiter are guiding us into the energy of Aquarius and will both fully move into Aquarius by December of 2020. And what does that mean to move into the Aquarian consciousness? I've talked a lot about how that is a paradigm of collaboration, not of competition or power over or destructiveness towards each other or towards the earth. But what does that mean to move into those Aquarian paradigms? How do we do that? A few things are critical in order to support us in that transition. One is to remember that some of the guidance of Jupiter, as it's supporting us into that shift into the Aquarian age, is Jupiter is the ruler of the sign of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is about understanding that we're all on a spiritual journey. Sagittarius is that constellation with the archer, with the bow and arrow, whose arrow is pointing towards our galactic center. Jupiter and Sagittarius are saying, remember your connection with Source. That helps you remember who you truly are. And Jupiter reminds us that to be in alignment with Source is to remember our connection with natural law as opposed to human law. Natural law has to do with the laws of the cosmos. Part of our turbulence on this planet is we've forgotten how to be in right relationship with natural law. And that will lead us to our own destruction if we don't wake up and remember that we're a part of this cosmic ecosystem. We're a part of the ecosystem of our planet. And when we begin to come into harmony and balance with that again, we find our right harmony and place in the oneness of all that is. So Jupiter is guiding us in reclaiming that deeper memory of who we are and who we are in relationship with each other and the earth and the cosmos. I also believe in this transition time, we are being reminded how to reclaim our spiritual consciousness. We've gotten caught in these last few thousand years in a materialistic, third-dimensional way of understanding life and reality that's led to a split between science and religion, and a sense that only what we see is what's real. And it's led to a Cartesian way of being. I think, therefore I am. It's all about my mind and the capacity of my mind to see and understand what is. And it's great that we've been through that journey of exploration, but it's time now to balance that with our right brain ways of knowing, to balance the sacred masculine, the left brain analytical ways of seeing and thinking with the sacred feminine, that remembrance that we're in relationship with all that is. Then we can reclaim a consciousness beyond what we've known in these last few thousand years. It's extraordinary when I've traveled to ancient sites in South America, in Africa, in other parts of the world, to see how these ancient cultures that were living in balance with the energies of the sacred feminine, that remembrance that we're in relationship with all that is. We're tapping into the consciousness of how to work with the energies of light and vibration and sound, and developing technologies that are far beyond anything we know on the earth now. They knew of technologies that didn't cause the destruction and pollution that all of our technologies, other than our green technologies, are causing now on this planet. So we're in a time where we're needing to come back into balance and remember that there are ways of being and manifesting and developing technologies that are beyond what we've been doing in these past few thousand years, and that are beyond our comprehension in the moment. But the only way that we will get there is not through trying to problem solve in our left brain ways, but to come back into that deeper consciousness of our connection with all that is, and open to the guidance, the living waters of wisdom that come from the stars of Aquarius, guiding us to remember what we've forgotten, to remember who we are, and to reclaim these ways of being and move into them in new forms and new ways, now and moving forward. Coming back into that higher consciousness is about opening to the energies of the cosmos, and then allowing that creativity to be in us and flow through us. And then we become co-creators with the cosmic consciousness, which is a different form of consciousness than a lot of the work that we're seeing right now, which is about focusing the mind to manifest, setting intentions, affirmations to heal or to make change. All of that is valuable, and yet it's a step towards this higher level of consciousness, which is about opening. It is about opening and being in alignment with that consciousness that moves through the cosmos and that can create in us and through us. And then we remember that energy of love and unity that allows us to be in the wholeness of who we are and in right relationship and in compassion with each other and in harmony and in balance with the earth. That is the dream. That is our possibility on the other side of this time of chaos and transition. But we won't get there if we try to recreate the paradigms of the past, or if we don't take time to heal and stay polarized and fragmented in ourselves and at odds with each other. These planets are guiding us to transform and move through a death rebirth. Then we, like Venus, can arise from the darkness in a new way, empowered and transformed, individually and collectively. Blessed be.